lecture 27. So, in the previous lecture I have discussed about LDR, and I have shown you that depending on the ambient light how we can change the intensity of an LED. In this experiment we will be using LDR again. We will be doing one more experiment with LDR, in which we will be counting the number of person present in this room, let us say. But the assumption is somewhat like this, that there is an entry point and there is a different exit point. So, the person coming from one door will come in, and the person who will be going out should exit from the other door. So, this is the assumption for this particular program that we will be showing you. Okay. So, in this experiment basically we do some object counting using this LDR light sensor and will demonstrate. So, this is the assumption that I have told you. This is the entry point, this is the exit point. In this entry point there will be an LDR, and in this exit point there will be another LDR. Okay. And the number of person present in a room will be displayed in the 7 segment display. So, instead of displaying it in LCD, in this experiment we will be displaying it in the 7 segment display. Okay. So, we use 2 LDRs to detect the direction of motion, that is whether a person is entering or leaving. Basically we have 2 LDRs, so we do not have to take into consideration how they are entering. Only thing is that if it crosses this LDR, that means a person has entered. If it crosses this LDR, that means the person has exited. Okay. So, this is how the arrangement goes. Sometime to make the arrangement very proper, we can connect we can actually connect LED here, and we can place the LDR here. Okay. So, whenever there is an interruption once from here, that means a person has entered. Whenever there is an interruption from here, a person has exited. Okay. So, these are the 2 scenarios, okay, where you can use this. Again, LDR could be used for many other applications. You can also use it to count the number of tablets, let us say you are entering into a box. Okay. So, in that case what you have to do, similar arrangement you can do. You can keep this LDR and this in the beginning of in the front end of the tube, and you can put 1 medicine one by one like this, and each time there is an interruption the counter will get incremented. Okay. You can do variety of experiment. So, here we are doing as a person counter. Okay. So, this is a kind of arrangement basically you can make for that LDR. This is one kind of arrangement that I am talking about. What is the basic concept here? So, we initialize the counter to 0 initially. If the light intensity that is read by LDR from the entry point decreases, so whenever there is an interruption, then that resistance decreases. Increment the counter. If there is a change in the LDR value from the entry point. Okay. Each time this happens, we increment the counter. If the light intensity read by the LDR from the exit point decreases, again we have another point, that is the exit point. If it goes from the entry point, it increases. If it goes from the exit point, it decreases. Okay. Then decrement the counter. Basically both the points that we will be considering here, we have kept 2 to 1 1 LDR there. And all we need to do is now we have to count whether there is an interruption or not. When there will be an interruption? Interruption will be there when there is a change in the resistance in that LDR. That we have to catch. That is what I am trying to mean when I say if the light intensity read by LDR from the entry point decreases. Okay? That particular thing we need to take into consideration while we do the experiment. So, we have understood initially the counter will be 0. Each time from the entry point there is an interruption, the count value will get incremented. And whenever there is an interruption in the exit point, the count value will get decremented. This is the whole concept. Now, this is the connection diagram. The connection diagram is fairly straightforward. This part of the connection diagram we have already discussed, where the same way all the segments of this 7th segment is connected from pin number D2 to D8 of this STM. Okay? So, we have connected all the pins of the 7th segment here. This is again a common anode 7th segment. So, from the common port through a resistance it is connected to 5 volt. And what we have to display here? Whenever there is an interruption, this display should display the number of person present in a particular room. Okay. Now, let us see the connection of this LDR. One end of the LDR is connected to this 5 volt directly, and another end is connected through a resistance to ground. You see, one end is connected to 5 volt directly, another end is connected through the resistance to ground. Please make sure and understand this particular connection very nicely. I will just repeat. There are two ends of this LDR. This is one end, this is one end. One end is directly connected to this 5 volt, we can see. Another end through a resistance is connected to ground. Same way here, one end is connected to this BCC, another end through a resistance is connected to ground. And from where we are taking both A1 and A2? From this point, entry point, it is connected to port A1, and from this exit point, it is connected to port A2. This is all about the connection. Now, what will happen whenever there is an interruption in this particular LDR? This 7th segment will get incremented. Let us say initially it was displaying 0, then it will display 1. When again it will get incremented, it will display 2. But if now somebody exit, then what it will display? Once somebody crosses this exit once, then again it will display 1. If again somebody exits, it will display 0. Okay, and so on. Let us see how this code is written. So, for the Mbed C code, this part of the code is straightforward. A1, A2, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, D7 and D8 is connected to A, B, C, D, E, F, G of the 7th segment. Okay. This connection we already did. So, we are not discussing in detail. What is required? Here we have two analog port. One is A1, another is A2. Okay. One we call it entry, which is connected to analog port A1, another is called exit, which is connected to A2. And this is the display function basically, where we are displaying 0 to 9. Same way here also we have done 0 to 9, but of course you can go beyond 9. You can also display A, B, C, D, E and F. That is for your homework, you can do it. Okay. So, here we have displayed from 0 to 9. So, this is the code which we have already discussed. Now, let us see the further code, the main program. The main program goes like this. Okay. Number of person initially we have, the number of person what we have made initially is 0. Okay. While 1, in the while loop what we are doing, let us see, we are doing the following. Entry dot read will give some value for the entry point. Exit exit dot read will give the value from the exit point. Both the values we are multiplying with 5000 and we will be getting certain values. Okay. If entry is less than 200, so the value decreases basically, then number of person is incremented by 1. Okay. If there is a change in resistance value, that is the resistance decreases beyond this 200, then there is an interruption and we have incremented it. We send it to display function, we wait for 1 second. Else if, we have to also check from the exit point value is Ex. If Ex is less than 200, then person will be person minus 1. Okay. And then we will display the person and wait for 1 second. Okay. So, this is, if somebody enters you increment, if somebody leaves you decrement. Else if there is one more condition that we have to do, if it is less than equals to 0 or it is greater than 9, then we will initialize it person equals to 0, because it is a 7 segment display. We know there is a limitation, we cannot display any number of characters. Okay. But if it is an LCD, this would not have been there, you could have displayed any character. So, the number of person will be made 0 if it becomes less than 0, it will never become less than 0 basically, and if it is greater than 9. So, here we display and we wait for 1 second, else display what is there in person and wait for 1 second. Okay. This is all about the entire code that we have for your entry and exit point. So, LDR sensor is used in many places, it has got many practical application. So, these are some examples that we have shown here. We will see later in some experiments that it also used to calculate the speed of motor. So, there also inside that particular LDR is there, which will count the number of interruption that is moving on. Okay. After this, we will be showing you the demonstration of the same code that I have discussed just now. Let us see that. Welcome back. So, today I will be showing you the experiment using LDR. We already know how an LDR works, and using LDR what all we can do. Okay. Now, what I will do first is that I will show you that using LDR, okay, how you can count the number of person present in a particular place, let us say in a particular room, provided you have 2 points. One is your entry point and another is your exit point. So, what you have to essentially do here is that you can have 2 LDR put up, in one in entry point and another in exit point. Whenever there is an interruption, then the counter will get increased if somebody is crossing the entry point. And if somebody is crossing the exit point, that particular number will get decremented. So basically the entry point, when there is an interruption, we say that a person is entering, and from the exit point, when there is an interruption, we say that a person has already left the room. And at a particular time, the number of persons that are present in a room will be displayed anywhere. It could be displayed in an LCD, it could be displayed in a 7 segment. Okay. So in today's experiment, we will be interfacing in the similar fashion. We will be interfacing to LDR, and one will consider as entry point, another will consider as exit point, and then we will be displaying the number of persons present in a 7 segment. Okay. So let us see the experiment. So now this is how you have to put the 2 LDR. This is the, let's say this is the entry point, the left one, and this one is the exit one. So this is the entry, this one is the exit. Now as I said, we'll display this in a 7 segment. So we already did how you have to connect with a 7 segment that is already present. So now for this one, let us see how the connection will be. One end of this LDR will be connected to BCC. So I've made it both the LDR. You see, from this common point, I will be connecting it to this particular point, which will be connected to BCC. And the other end, through a resistor, we will be connecting it to ground. And you see from which point you will be actually taking the analog input will be basically this point. You see, from this particular point. This is connected to BCC, this using resistor connected to ground, and from this middle point basically, okay, you have to take the analog input value and you have to connect it to the analog port. Okay. So let me first show you that this connection we already know with 7 segment. So this is already present here. Okay. And now I will be connecting first the common point. So as I said, from this point it is connected to BCC. So this common point we can take and we can connect to BCC. Okay. And this is the LED connection. Okay. In this LED connection, you will be seeing the number of persons that is present that will be displayed in this 7 segment, and you already know how the connection works. So from the common point I will take and I will connect to BCC. So my BCC common point is this particular line, so I will directly connect it here. Okay. I believe the connection is clear to you. This is already we did earlier. Okay. So from the common point, this is the common point of the 7 segment. We are taking this and we are connecting it to the BCC, and this is 5 volt. I have connected to this point. So we can use this particular whole set of lines. All are connected because see, in the middle I have made this connection. Okay. So from the middle it is also connected from here till here. Okay. Okay. So now I will take the next one, that is ground. So this point is the ground one. So you can see like this point is ground. So from here I will connect it to ground. And now the most interesting part, that is the where we'll be taking the analog port. So as I've already told you, this is one end to BCC, another end to ground, and from this point you will connect it to the analog port. So first entry I am connecting to A1, and here will be the exit that I will be connecting to A2. Okay. Please again make sure about the connection that we did. This is the common point, this whole line is the common point for BCC. Okay. One end of the LDR is connected to this BCC. This is the common point for ground. One end of the LDR is connected to this ground. Okay. Yeah, one end of the LDR, both the ends are connected to ground through this resistance. And from the middle point, we are taking this analog inputs. And this connection we already know, the 7-segment connection. Only that you have to connect this particular point, that is the common point, to BCC that we are connecting. Okay. Now we'll dump the code. So this one is my exit, this one is my entry and this one is my exit. Okay. Okay, let us see how it works. Okay, let me connect it and dump the code. Okay, so initially it is displaying 0 count. Okay. Now as I said, this LDR is my entry point LDR. Let's see if I interrupt what happens. Okay. It has incremented by 1. Okay. I will make another interruption. It has incremented by 2. Another interruption, interrupted 3. So the person count is 3 here. Now this LDR is my exit LDR. Okay. So let me see what happens if there is an interruption here. It has become 2. It has become 1. Okay. I will again make some entry. So I will again interrupt using this particular LDR. Okay. Now I will again make some interruption in the exit LDR, which is this one. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0. Okay. So we have seen that in a simple way how we can make a person counter. If, of course, if you have basically 2 points, one your entry point, another exit point, and at both the points you can keep an LDR which will actually record the interruption that are taking place. And if there are like the number of interruption is going on, then it will increment it and it will display in this 7 segment. And similarly, if you have some interruption from the exit point, it will also take that into consideration and then it will decrement. I hope this experiment with LDR is clear to you all, and I hope that you perform this at your end using this STM board. You can also do it with Arduino board at your own convenience. Whichever board you feel like, you can do. The code is fairly straightforward, which I have already discussed. Okay, so thank you.